Hi guys. Well, the last post that I posted was regarding 10% body fat and how or what I think are the reasons why people struggle to get any lower, and it's really popular. And I've had lots of messages since the post, just asking me to expand on the subject. Give my thoughts on kind of how I would necessarily do it, which, I can't do that in a video. I can give you some kind of food for thought. I can let you go away and think about some areas, but I certainly can't do a whole video on a set formula to get somebody in shape. Why? And this is something I'm massively passionate about. It's personalised. Fat loss, getting very lean, below 10% is personalised. And if you're following a very generic plan, it may work for you, it may not work for you, and it could depend on where you're sitting right now from a hormonal perspective. So part of this video is going to touch on metabolic damage and my thoughts on that subject, but as you all know by now, come January I'll be releasing my 8-week physique fat loss program, and I'm very confident that it's going to get a lot of people very lean, but there's going to be a small percentage that it may not work with, and that's potentially because there's many factors involved in taking somebody from 10% down to say 6 or 5%. Quite a lot of difference involved from taking somebody say 19% down to 10%. So that's an important point. The main reason, one of the main reasons for me that I think that trainers and day-to-day people, or should I say trainers to start with, struggle to get their clients below the magical 10% is because they've never ever been there themselves. I'm very passionate with ensuring that my guys have all been sub 8% body fat. They all know what it's like to diet. They all know what it's like. A good percentage of them compete. A good percentage of them have all done a photo shoot. Is that over the top? Is it making me do things that the guys don't necessarily want? Well, they're here because they love body fat. But I don't think that you can teach anything to somebody or expect somebody to get very lean if we've never ever been there ourselves. So you the day-to-day person going into the gym, asking a trainer to get into the best shape of your life. What does that mean? Is it in the shape of your life where you want to do a photo shoot? Is it as a guy the shape of your life that you want your six-pack rippling when you lift up your shirt? Well, if it is, you're asking that trainer to get you extremely lean, and it may potentially be somewhere that trainer has never been in their life. So the first thing that as a client, as a day-to-day person, you need to question is if your trainer's ever been there. Now, okay, there are certain trainers out there probably have never ever been lean, but they are very skilled in getting people very lean. Now, I personally believe that as a trainer, it's important that at some point you have taken yourself to the point, potentially more than what any of your clients are ever going to be at. Now, you may only take your clients down to 8%. Make sure you've been below 8%. For me, most of you will know, come February, the end of February, I'll be doing a photo shoot. I expect to be in the best condition I've been in. Certainly a place where a lot of my clients are never going to be able to get to. I know what's involved, and I know what's coming my way, mainly because I've written it. That magical 10% is somewhere where probably if you'd said to me 6 or 7 years ago, what's the biggest problem that you're having as a trainer, is getting people past that 10%. But then it started to not become a problem the moment that I started to get really lean myself. And I had clients coming in to see me who said, I want to be in the best shape of their life. And I'd look at them and go, right, I can get you to 8%. I can get you to 7%. Depends on you whether or not you're prepared to put the work in. But I think that the first major point is, if you want to get below 10% as a client or a trainer getting a client lean, you have to have been there yourself. Sorry, it's the trainer that has to go there to make sure they appreciate what the client's got to go through to get lean. Now, as I said a few seconds ago, there's a big difference between taking somebody from 19% to 10% and then 10% below. So what's the big problem there? The big problem is the field of bodybuilding. Now, it's a field that absolutely fascinates me. I'm passionate about. I study it a heck of a great deal. I link my passion for hormones and functional medicine and levels of biochemistry with bodybuilding. And there are a lot of coaches who won't necessarily look at the other side that I look at, the depth of the hormones and, more modern technology and science. And there'll be people that use very, very old school methodology, but it works. But a lot of trainers taking somebody from, say, 19% to 12%, all they do is they get there with their client doing very, very normal kind of healthy eating. They get there with their clients doing, introducing them to training, and what they're not realizing is over time the client's volume is starting to pick up. So they're able to push more weight, they're lifting more weight, they're building more muscle, metabolically their cells are becoming healthier, they're gradually getting leaner. But there will come a point where your 3 or 4 sessions a week in the gym with your trainer will stop producing results. And it's at that point that an educated trainer may tighten your belt a little bit. So instead of giving you a very generalized plan, they make it pretty specific. Right, instead of saying, I just want you to eat a chicken breast with each meal or a salmon fillet, they may be specific and say, I'd like you to have a 150 gram steak, a 150 gram chicken breast with 10 grams of coconut oil, for example. Or they may just say steak with a teaspoon of coconut oil. Things can start to get a little bit more specific. Now, going back to the 19 to 10% body fat, you don't have to use too much specificity in terms of the diet. It can be quite general to ensure that you get somebody relatively lean. Then comes the point that somebody wants to go from 10 to 6. And they say to you they want to do a photo shoot or they want to go on stage. And you kind of think, right, well, I've exhausted absolutely everything. I've exhausted everything in my toolbox, and I don't really know where to go from here. Some trainers at that point start to look at everything that could potentially be wrong. There's stress in your life. You need to sleep more. It could be that the fact that you've got something wrong with your gut. Potentially there could be, but what trainers kind of get to this sticking point is they go, well, I can't add any more training volume. I can't lower the calories anymore. So I don't have anything else to play with, and that's where they get stuck at 10%. Now, I actually personally think that as well as not really studying bodybuilding and not really understanding where you can go to with a diet, trainers and day-to-day people have been shocked and scared by metabolic damage, the phrase that's been used a lot in the last year and more. I don't think it's something that people need to be too frightened of. I think people need to be aware of it. Now, this video in absolutely no way, shape or form is being done to critique anybody who talked about metabolic damage, because any of you guys who know me know that I understand the science, know that I understand a lot about hormones. I apply all this to my clients, especially my clients that compete. And I think metabolic damage is 100% true. But one thing I do have an issue with is I think that metabolic damage has frightened loads and loads of trainers into not taking their clients where they need to get lean. Now, the most important thing that I think I can attach to metabolic damage is the fact that many people, when they start people from, say, 12% to go to 6%, start their clients off at very, very low calories. And, metabolic damage talks about the fact that men and women specifically, it refers a lot to, are drilled into the ground hormonally because they're on low calories right from day one. And yes, it's going to absolutely screw so many hormones. And for a long period of time, that can seriously impact a female and male hormonal system to the point where without a lot of help, it will take a long time to recover. Menstrual cycles screw up, A lot of the stress hormones and adrenals can burn out, and women and men can reach stages of adrenal fatigue that can bring on depression, and a cascade of life events that can really, really pull somebody down, and it's very hard to kind of come back from. But, this is starting somebody off at a very, very unprofessional, unsafe place. So I think the first thing with metabolic damage is to try and make people aware is it's more to do with the starting point. It's more to do with how long this person has been in a seriously health debilitating state nutritionally. Now, just on that point, let me also make this very, very clear. Everyone out there right now who smokes all the time, drinks all the time, hardly sleeps, works crazy hours, doesn't eat vegetables, doesn't eat protein, you're not just doing metabolic damage, you're doing life damage. Right? Then we look at it and flip it on its head, and you look at somebody doing bodybuilding who eats phenomenally healthy food and phenomenally meticulous on planning and macronutrients and water intake. These people are really do care about their health. The problem that we have is that people go for such a long period of time in a caloric deficit. They also go for such a long time doing an obscene amount of training, to the point that 6 weeks out from doing a photo shoot or just having their own transformation in the gym or getting up on stage, they have nowhere else to go other than add more training volume through cardio potentially, or even lower their calories, or even drastically in some case add some awful products that will really damage their health. Okay? Now, that in itself is dangerous in terms of going to the depths of suffering nutritionally and training volume-wise for a long period of time. That's what causes the damage in my eyes. But ask any bodybuilder, any smart trainer or coach who works with prep clients, or talk to anybody that's been very lean themselves. There will come a time that you will have to pull your calories down and play little tricks with your body to ensure it keeps losing body fat. The trick is to ensure that when you start your prep from, say, 12% on your way down to 6.5 and potentially 4% body fat, you have enough tools to use at your disposal. You have enough cardio and training volume that you can add over time, and you have enough calories that you can slowly pull from somebody's diet. So to give you an example, if somebody started their diet at, say, 2,500 calories, and you did their body fat after week 1 using, in my eyes, I like to do as little amount as possible to get maximum reward. So what you might do is have somebody at, say, 2,500 calories, they're training 4 times a week, and they're doing 1 interval training session. You set those calories as at the point in which you hope that they're going to lose body fat based on your calculations. And you notice the person's body fat come down. You know that that's your starting point. Now, that person's baseline in your eyes could well be 1,700 calories. That's the lowest you want to go with that person. So over time, you could lower the calories 1 week. The next week, you can bring in a little bit more training volume, or maybe some interval training, extra interval training, and you do the body fat tests, and you can see that the body fat's come down, and you know that the strategy you've got's working. 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks out from your photo shoot or ready to come on stage, you look down at your toolbox and you say to yourself, how many more tools have I got to use? Can I pull any more calories from the diet? Now, when I say pulling calories from the diet, you're going to go to a place which is lower than you would like to necessarily go. In some cases, 10 calories per pound of body weight, multiplied per pound of body weight, is classed as a low calorie diet. In many cases, I'm going to go below this, but it's for a short period of time. So what I will do is have somebody say at 2,500 calories, and then over the weeks gradually bring their calories down 1 week it may be a cardio increase. 1 week it may be a nutrition change to the diet. But I'm always encouraging and using the variables of training volume or nutrition as a variable to come down. Now, let's say I started my diet out at 2,000 calories or 1,900 calories, and the lowest I really wanted to get to was 1,700. I have one food drop that I can potentially make. Now, if I have one food drop that I can make, and I have maybe 3 or 4 cardio drops, 6 weeks out, I'm at the point where I could really, really run the risk of making my client unhealthy because I've got nothing else to use. And not necessarily to the point where I would make them unhealthy, but I'm going to have to use too much either training volume or increasing in cardio to get the desired effect. Now, remember, this is only going to be for a short period of time. So maybe for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I may have run out of things to use in terms of food. So what I might do is then add in some more cardio. I'm not talking, I may be talking up to a maximum of, say, 40 minutes of cardio at this point, potentially. But the thing is here is that I haven't started this person out 12 weeks ago at high cardio and low food levels. I brought them down gradually so that I'm only kind of 3 weeks out. And so when trainers look at this and they panic and they go, I can't bring calories down because they're fearful of this kind of whole metabolic damage, you've got to not worry about bringing food down, providing that you're not starting very, very low for a long, long period of time. Start putting somebody out and gradually bring their calories down to the point where you're getting closer and closer to your goal, and then be smart afterwards. Be smart to the point that you then help your client gradually build their calories back up. This is the bit that people get confused about. There is absolutely no problem in bringing somebody very slowly down to a point that is classed as very, very low calorie in comparison to where you had them at originally, providing that you bring them out very, very slowly. The issue is starting them 12 weeks out with no calories and absolutely nailing them into the ground, and then you've got your big problems. You can be smarter with this. You are going to impact the adrenal glands from a stress perspective. You are going to be placing the liver under a lot of stress. You're certainly going to be placing the thyroid under a lot of stress. So, as a smart coach, you can start to bring in certain supplements and vitamins that support your client through this last little bit where the hormones are kind of, really starting to bottom out, and you can give them some support to help them through the journey. And then, being smart, you bring your client back out of the diet very slowly, introducing calories slowly, and taking your time to allow the body to recover. So, as a trainer, the reason you haven't got anyone to 10% below is because you don't necessarily understand this ability to take somebody down lower, which you need to study potentially. And as a day-to-day client, you don't realize that there's actually a lot more hard work than just going to the gym 4 days a week, and there's a lot more specificity involved in the design of your nutrition to the point where you're gradually lowering calories below what you thought you should normally have to get to this kind of 6 or 7% body fat. That's the number that you want to achieve. So, looking at it like this, don't be frightened by metabolic damage, but be frightened if your trainer has you on 0 calories 12, 16 weeks out from getting ready for a photo shoot. Watch the coach that you're using and see whether they're using variables and gradually bringing stuff in. And also look at whether or not the coach is talking about what you're going to do after the competition or after the photo shoot to bring your metabolism back in line. Because if they're just literally grinding you into the ground, having to use tools like 2 hours worth of cardio every single day, and twice a day training on lower than 1,000 calories a day, chances are you are creating yourself some pretty serious metabolic damage that can take you a long time to get over. Just bear with me, I've just got a Skype call coming through then, so I'm just going to have to shoot. But I hope this has given you guys a little bit more of a clearer understanding as to what it really takes to take somebody below to 10% body fat, how the intensity, the volume must increase at some point, and don't worry about taking your client or yourself a lot lower than what you would normally do, because it's not supposed to be an easy place to get to. And then be careful as you bring yourself back out of the diet to a healthier, restored metabolism in the weeks and months to come. So I hope that's helped. As always, please leave your comments, please leave me any feedback, and I look forward to hearing from you guys who have taken yourself from that magical 10% and a lot lower.